Doing the recap on Bob's 2950, of course, you really have to take that front faceplate off and fold it over. That's why I always put the blue tape on the LCD screen so you can get at the caps at the very, very super front. Now, while I'm here, let's just go over something about TR36. You can remove that TR36 and it will cause your dial to not mute when you change through channels or frequencies. However, this, I believe, and what I have heard also as well, that was put in there so it would mute until the frequency was locked for you to be able to receive and transmit. So do with it as you will, but if you remove TR36 and spin the dial a little too fast, you may not hear anybody. But it kind of makes that dial a VFO, but of course that is all up to you to make those decisions. Let's not forget, while I have this open, if you do not like when the buttons beep and everything, it's right here. This is the piezo beeper thing that emits your little beeps, and some have found it annoying on the 29 series. If you don't like it, I always suggest just clipping that red wire down here. Don't do it up there in case you sell the radio. Clip that red one, coil it up right there, so that's fine, and you won't have to worry about that beep anymore if it's annoying. Or you can add a switch into the back, just switch it that way. But there you go, 2 tech tips in one video. Welcome back. Most of the recap has been completed. Also did a full re-grease on the components all around the outside here. They were very dry, and that's not surprising. Also, the heatsink got heatsink compound. Surprisingly, it only had just a trickle just where these screws were, and that was it. So yeah, we did a full re-grease on that as well. And we have all these caps. Now, I've had a question as well about why I have capacitors that are blue. That's just a marking indication for myself to know which ones have been replaced by me. A lot easier. I've also do a visual indication when I have the old caps. I put red on them so I know that everything gets replaced if it doesn't have blue. And I've had that come up a couple of times. Some of these little capacitors kind of hide. That one sometimes gets hidden, that one over there. And yeah, it's just very easy for me to be able to do. And we have 2 caps actually to put in, and I'm about to do that now. Of course, that's the always fun trouble capacitor right there because it's right in the way of the mounting hardware. Sometimes aftermarket hardware screws, the lugs are a little bit longer on it, so it'll actually protrude into the capacitor, cause a complete short. Of course, since it's metal, it's connected to ground, and that's never a good thing, especially since the positive is on that side of the board. So it's right there. So literally, you're taking ground and jamming it directly into the positive on this leg. It is awful. They changed that in newer versions. Folds over and bends onto that IC. And we're going to do the exact same now. We're going to actually piggyback onto that. So that way Bob doesn't have to worry about using aftermarket equipment and causing an issue, just shorting out power, because he's just trying to mount a radio. And yeah, that's one of the worst design flaws that I've seen. Man, that's just crazy. Let's go ahead and get those capacitors all set in place. And yeah, this should start wrapping up the recap. Since everything inside's done, we're just going to do clean due diligence, and we have, you know, his beautiful bright white keypad get installed, and we're just clean up the knobs and do everything right. I'd always love to send back a radio to somebody as clean as I can possibly do it, because it's almost like getting your radio all over again, brand new. Okay, great progress. We got the piggyback caps, so he can not worry about that cap getting destroyed. And we have the faceplate put back on. I'm going to go ahead and put the cases on. But yep, Bob, this is looking great. You know, I'm going to swap out the original screws for just straight black screws, and on the case sides as well. It just looks a lot better, especially since some of these are discolored. It's definitely nice just to have brand new black screws. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them in and clean the cases up. Well, that looks a lot better. Very nice, and very nice. Okay, we have Bob's radio all put back together. I really do like the way that bright white keypad turned out. It's actually one of the best ones I've seen in quite some time do that much of a change. And it's just varying depending on what was on the buttons to start with. But went ahead and did that and make that radio shine up just a little bit more. And we change out those black screws on the sides there. They were the original chromes, which, they end up discoloring, get a little rusted, a little patina on them. So we went and changed that black on black. Looks a lot better. And we talked in the previous segment again about some of the mods that I saw on that. Of course, a lot of those were unverified. If you want to go ahead and play around with them, go ahead and do that. But sorry, I can't be responsible if you go ahead and play around with your radio and something doesn't work as it should. But yeah, just some information if you want to play around with some other mods that are out there. But Bob just wanted this to be future-proofed, so this was a radio he got in 1999. I believe he was a second owner, maybe third owner. So this is the one that did not have the battery inside, so this is the Gen 2. So for its age, capacitors, he wanted to get them replaced. Of course, they had the 10-volt caps that end up being very troublesome. It's actually some of the first ones that actually dry out in these radios. He wanted to get them all done, so we went ahead and did that complete. And we're going to go ahead and get this on the bird for him. He's really excited to be able to get this radio back on the air, and I'm excited to get it back to him. So let's go ahead, check the wattage and the out on the bird meters with the 100-watt slugs, and we'll get this back out to Bob. Now, of course, we also had to do the full regrease of everything around the outside and fix a couple of cold solder joints, and actually some of the side components were just kind of floating on the pads inside there. So the screw that was holding it to the chassis was actually also providing enough pressure to make contact. So we went ahead and took care of that with the 2.8-volt voltage regulators, final driver audio chip, and everything else that needed a good regrease. So let's go ahead and talk about the bird watts now. Okay, we're in AM, RF power all the way up. All right, there we go. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, about 21 watts on the peak side here. And audio check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 7. 7 or 8 watts right there, and then we're swinging up all the way to about 21 watts on AM. Very nice. FM does work, but there is no swing. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, audio check. And we got upper. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio check 1, 2, 1, 2. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we got about 22 or so watts on the sideband on upper, and make sure lower still works as well. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Very nice. Of course, this is the one where you press manual, and that's where your channels are. I know on some of those it was the lock, but on these ones now the lock actually is the lock. The first gen, I believe it is. So if you don't want to pull them apart, if you have a first or gen, second gen, you can see if you have with the lock, or if you just have if you have to hit the manual to go back and forth between CB. But all right, this is very nice for Bob. I'm pretty excited and happy to get this back out to him. He's excited to get this thing back on the air, and the conditions may start improving. It's been hit and miss surprisingly this summer for me. So we're going to see if these conditions will start working in our favor. Wouldn't mind hitting Bob on the air as well. And we'll get this back out to Bob. All right, I appreciate y'all stopping by. Eric Techstuffs, if it does help you, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what radio you have and why you think that is an awesome radio. I definitely do enjoy all the different radios that are out there, and there are definitely more radios out there than I have money to buy. So tell me your favorite radio and why. And yeah, man, I love these little RCI-2950s. This was one of my first ones that I actually bought way back when, and that actually had the CPU issue. But hey, I learned my lesson. But yeah, I got the second gens ones mostly now. Alright, well, we'll see you in the next one again. I'm going to stop babbling. We'll see you. Peace. Bye.